What Flora Windgate didn't know, what she couldn't have known, standing at the edge of Cedar Lodge Hall with mud still clinging to her boots and the faint scent of chamomile lingering on her hands, was that the man watching her from the third row had crossed frozen mountain passes to be there, not for the ceremony, not for the women lined up against the wall, but the moment his eyes found hers, something shifted. Quiet, sudden, irreversible, and neither of them understood it yet. The hall was thick with heat, pine smoke, and expectation. 12 women stood in a line, each one dressed to be chosen, each one holding on to hope like it might slip through their fingers if they breathed hard enough. Flora stood 8th. Plain, unadorned. Her dress was simple, her hands still marked by the work she had done only an hour before. She didn't belong here, and she knew it. She hadn't come to be chosen. She had come because she was forced to stand there, to fill a requirement, nothing more. One by one, the women stepped forward. They were examined, evaluated, accepted or dismissed with casual indifference. Flora watched it happen with a tightening in her chest, not from fear, but from something sharper, disgust. The way they were being looked at, the way their worth was being measured in silence. Then her name was called. Flora stepped forward, her chin level, her expression steady. She refused to look at the floor. Lord Trent's gaze moved over her slowly, deliberately, from her worn boots to her faded dress to the faint stains on her hands. His lip curled almost instantly. No. Just one word. Then louder, for everyone to hear, he dismissed her not as a person, but as an inconvenience. The healer's girl. Not suitable, not worth consideration. A few quiet laughs rippled through the hall, and in that moment, Flora felt the heat rise inside her. Not embarrassment, but fury. She had expected rejection. She had planned for it. But she had not expected to be reduced so completely, so publicly. She opened her mouth to respond, and a chair scraped sharply against the floor. The sound cut through the hall like a blade. A man stood from the third row. "I'll do it." His voice was low, calm, but it carried through the entire room. Conversations stopped instantly. Lord Trent turned, irritation flashing across his face as he demanded clarification, but the stranger didn't even look at him. His attention stayed on Flora. "She hasn't been chosen," he said simply. "So I am." The tension shifted. This wasn't protocol. This wasn't allowed. Murmurs spread, confusion mixing with curiosity, but the man didn't waver. And then, more quietly, he added, "If she agrees." All eyes turned to Flora. Her heart pounded, but not from fear. Something else was building inside her, something unfamiliar, something she couldn't name. "I don't need rescuing," she said. A faint, almost imperceptible smile touched his lips. "I know." They left the hall together, not because she had chosen him, but because everything had already changed. Outside, the cold mountain air cut through the tension, sharp and grounding. Flora spoke quickly, trying to regain control. She told him he didn't have to follow through, that this didn't have to mean anything. But when he asked her if that was truly what she wanted, she hesitated. And that hesitation said more than any answer could have. She asked his name. He gave it. Nothing more. They walked in silence until the path turned toward the hot springs, and without thinking, she followed it. The steam rose in soft clouds around them as they sat at the edge of the water, a careful distance apart. It was there, in the quiet, that the truth slipped out. She told him she had heard those words before, that people saw dirt on her hands and decided that was all she was. He listened. And when he finally spoke, he didn't offer comfort or pity. One person didn't, he said. Something shifted inside her again, warmer this time, deeper. The next morning shattered whatever fragile balance had formed. He wasn't just a man from the third row. He was the Alpha King. The most powerful man in the region had stood up for her and never said a word about who he was. The realization hit like a shock, followed immediately by anger. Of course he hadn't told her. Of course the one person who had made her feel seen had been hiding the biggest truth of all. When she confronted him, he didn't deny it. He didn't apologize the way she expected either. Instead, he told her the truth, that if she had known, she would have pulled away, changed her way she spoke, turned him into something untouchable. And he had wanted, just once, to be seen as a man instead of a title. That truth landed harder than anything else, because she knew it was right. Later, Lord Trent returned, confident and composed, announcing that he had filed a challenge to invalidate the claim. He expected gratitude. He expected submission. He got neither. Flora stood in her workshop, hands still marked by real work, and told him the truth no one else would. He hadn't rejected her because she lacked value. He had rejected her because she offered him none, and that said more about him than it ever did about her. Her voice didn't shake. Her gaze didn't drop. For the first time, the balance of power shifted completely. And when she told him to leave, he did. Conrad was waiting outside. He didn't step in, didn't interfere, just watched. "You didn't need rescuing," he said. "I know," she replied. "And I believe you." That mattered more than she expected. When she told him about the challenge, he didn't react with anger or authority. He simply asked one question. "Do you want this?" No pressure, no expectation, just choice. For the first time, everything rested in her hands. Flora took a breath, steadying herself. "Don't cancel it," she said. And in that moment, everything changed again. He closed the distance between them carefully, as if giving her every chance to pull away. But she didn't. When he kissed her, it wasn't about power or possession. It was something slower, steadier, something earned in silence, in truth, in the space between who they were and who they had pretended to be. For the first time, Flora wasn't being measured. She wasn't being judged. She was being seen. And that was what changed everything. Just as the moment settled, just as everything between them finally made sense, Flora didn't realize this was only the beginning. Because choosing each other was the easy part. What came next would test everything. The power he held, the life she refused to leave behind, and the people who were already planning to tear them apart. This wasn't a love story. Not yet. This was where it started to break. If you want to see what happens next, if you want to see how a healer who was called nothing ends up standing against an entire kingdom, then make sure you're subscribed. And tell me in the comments, would you have trusted him after finding out the truth?